Ladies and gentlemen, it's my great honor to sit here. I'm going to introduce our two speakers today, and they will give us a very inspiring talk about the new design of the IOL for penta-focus to make our patient feel more comfortable for far, intermediate, and near. And the first one, I'm going to introduce the Dr. Jeong. Jeong, yeah, is right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, okay. Jeong is a leading ophthalmologist and the director of Jeong Fatima Eye Clinic, with extensive expertise in cataract and refractive surgery. He has held key positions including chief ophthalmologist at Jeong Fatima Hospital and director of Jeong Fatima Eye Clinics. And today he will going to give us the talk about optimizing functional vision, the penta-focus advantage of the intensity IOL. Let's give him a big welcome.
I'm so sorry, the pronunciation is very hard too, in Korean letters. Yeah. So I'm so honorable to be here in such a lovely country in Taiwan, and thank you for the TSCRS organizing committee and the Hanita company. Today's my topic is optimizing functional visions, the pentafocal advantage of the intensity IOL. My name is Jeong from South Korea. So these are my financial disclosures. Before talking about the intensity, I'm going to explain about the diffraction, basic diffraction. This is the very simple schematic diagram of the diffractions. When the incident wavelengths meet the slit, the wavelengths changes each directions. In the very near edge of the slit, the wave changes abruptly and rapidly. In the center of the slit, it doesn't change its direction. So connecting with the same pace of the wave, we finally get like this circular diffractive wave. And the more detail and for more easy understanding, I will explain about the Jeong's two-slit experiment. Yeah, so once the single circular wavefronts meets the two slit, each two single circular wavefronts will be made, and each wavefronts interfere each other, and so finally get the constructive and the destructive wavefronts. Usually constructive wavefronts represent brightly on the screens, and destructive wavefronts usually represent darkly on the screen. So finally, you can see the brightly line on the screen or a bright dot on the screen. These are diffractions. The most centered one is regarded as zero-order diffractions. Apart from this, first, second, third order diffraction will be made like this. And according to the phase direction based on the zero order, the diffraction makes a positive and negative directions. And finally, we get the complete diffraction order like this. So what is the diffractive optics? Diffractive IOL is something different from the Jeong's two-slit experiment. Actually, the diffractive IOLs are composed of two parts. One is the diffractive plate, the so-called Fresnel plate, kinopones. And the other one is the base refractive optics. Mixed with together, the diffractive IOLs are being made. Once the incident light meets the diffractive plate, each diffractive steps acts like a slit and makes a different order the diffractive wave. This diffractive wave meets with the base refractive lens changes its direction like this according to the base refractive lens power. So finally, we get several focal points in the eye, and usually zero-order diffractional waves focus on the retina. So makes a far point. And usually positive diffraction orders makes their focus in front of the retina, and negative order diffractional wave lights makes their focal point behind the retina. So usually the negative order diffractional wave light is useless in the vision. So many diffractive IOL developers suppress or delete their negative diffraction orders. So finally, we get the 3 focal point in the eye. These are the conventional diffractive IOLs. Yes, from now on, I'll talk about intensity. Intensity have several characteristics like this. The first one is the pentafocal diffractive optics. That makes more continuous depth of field. And the second one is Kirschberg-Saxton algorithms. That makes a more sophisticated diffraction profile. And the third one is the dynamic light utilization. And the last one is the pupil dependency. The first, the pentafocal diffractive optics. How the intensity can make their focal point in the 5 focal point in the eye. Let me explain about with this animation. As previously mentioned, the instant light meets diffractive plate, and each diffractive step acts like a slit and makes a different order wavefront. And mixed with the base refractive IOLs, and makes changes each direction, and finally got the focal point in the retina. Usually in conventional diffractive IOLs, zero orders have their focal point on the retina. They usually get a far point. However, in the pentafocal diffractive optics, negative second order diffractive wave lights get their focal point on the retina. Let's make simple. Yes, just conventional focal point shifting to the myopic way is very simple and clever. Also, we can make the pentafocality in the eye. This is a pentafocal diffractive optics theory. And very simply said about this. However, to make a pentafocality is very hard to make. So intensity use Kirschberg-Saxton algorithm. These are very sophisticated the tools to make the very good diffractive profiles. Once the source amplitude are decided, it is transferred to Fourier transform and makes approximation target amplitude at each focal, each diffraction orders. And one more time, it is transferred to Fourier transform and finally get the approximation, the source amplitude and the diffractive pace. These are loop of the GS algorithm. So actually, I don't know about this in details. It's very hard to understand. Anyway, it's a more repeated GS algorithm make more sophisticated diffractive profiles. For example, to get the more optimal images, sometimes the GS algorithms are used like this. The left side picture are the 10 repeated loop of the GS algorithms, and the right side is a result of the 50 repeated loops of GS algorithm. You can see the different pictures like left and right. You can see the details in the ears or details in the eye are very different between two pictures. Right is more in detail and the more optimal image you can get. And so finally, we can get the optimal diffractive geometry of the pentafocal intensity. To get the more effective pentafocality, the light distribution also inevitable, very important. So intensity use dynamic light utilization by also using the GS algorithm. The 40% light are used in the infinity, and about 25% light are used in the 40 centimeters, and the 15% light are used in the 60 centimeters, less energy in the 80 centimeters, and less energy in the 133 centimeters. So finally, we got the pentafocality with the optimal light distribution. So finally, patients can the more smooth and continuous range of visions. To get the maximal pentafocality, the maximal light utilization is inevitable. So in intensity, maximal light utilization is up to 93.5%. So compared to other diffractive competitors, diffractive IOLs, 80%. This is key factor to realize the pentafocality of the intensity IOL. And this is surfocus empty curve of the intensity. So you can see here the 5 focal point in here. And with these results, I'm so sorry. The last one is the pupil dependency. The intensity IOL or geometry have 3 different geometries, the zone 1, zone 2, zone 3. Each zone have a different diffractive profile and the diffractive phase. usually in photopic situations, the zone 1 and zone 2 are related, and mesopic conditions, usually zone 2 and zone 3 are related. With these results, we can estimate the energy distributions according to pupil size. In small pupil size, the energy distribution is more concentrated for near, so we can see the more clearly at nears. And with increase the pupil size, light distribution are focused more far, so we can more clearly at the far in mesopic conditions. Oh, this is lens specification of the intensity IOL. Also, we can estimate the patient's pseudo-focus visual quality by using pseudo-focus USAF image degradation chart. So you can see the red line on the pictures. The red line means the effective lens USAF quality chart. So in 3 millimeter pupil, you can see the most wide range of effective image quality in the intensity group compared to other competitor diffractive IOLs. But also 4.5 millimeters, you can see the very similar results. This is photic phenomena of the intensity. You can see the very small size and the less intensity of the halo size compared to other trifocal IOLs. There are so many published papers about the clinical outcomes of the intensity IOL. The Dr. Asier reported a very wide range of depth of focus above the 3 diopter range. He also reported that the patients reported the visual function questionnaire. In this study, the patients reported there are no disturbance in their usual life, and the patients reported very small photic phenomena. And also, Dr. Bianchi reported very similar results above 3 diopter range of depth of field report, and Dr. Luce also very similar results, and she compared the 3 different trifocal IOLs depth of focus, defocus range. I'm sorry. So in this study, the intensity have more and the better results in the intermediate range of depth of focus. Dr. Jose also reported very similar results, and Dr. Agarwal and the professor, the Alphas also reported widened the depth of field up to the 3 diopter range of visions in intensity implantations. This is my ongoing study about comparing clinical performance of newly launched multifocal IOLs. We compare the intensity with the Clara Panoptics. We started this study from the September 2024. Actually, this study is an ongoing study. However, in this presentation, the data gathering period are from September 2024 to February 2025. Enrolled eye were 28 eye in intensity group and 110 eye in the Panoptics group. After propensity scoring matchings, the 28 eye were enrolled in the Panoptics groups. So we measure the distant corrected focus at post of 1 month, 3 months, and measure near and the intermediate visual acuity at 1 month, 3 months, and also measure the contrast sensitivity at post of 3 months. Also, patients reported photic phenomena were evaluated with the Zeiss glare halo simulators. These are patients' demographics. So there are no difference between 2 groups. Results, visual acuity at post of 1 month. Both groups have very good results in the UCVA and the BCVA. There are no static difference. However, at 3 months post-op, there you can see the difference between 2 groups. In the UCVA, minus 0.06 logMAR in the intensity group, and the 0.01 logMAR in the Panoptics group. The BCVA was minus 0.08 in the intensity group, and minus 0.03 was in Panoptics group. You can see the better results in the intensity. In contrast sensitivity, also the intensity group have better results, especially in the low cycle per degree, 1.5 and the 3.0 cycle per degree. The intensity group have better results in both monocular and the binocular situations. This is post of 1 month monocular photopic defocus curve. You can see very similar results in the 0 diopter range and the minus 2.5, minus 3.0 diopter defocus range. However, the intensity have better results in the intermediate range from the minus 0.5 to minus 1.0 range. In binocular situations, the results were very similar in the monocular situations. In mesopic condition, there are not much light in there, so you can't see clearly the difference between each other diffractive IOL's performance. However, in intensity group, you can see the difference especially in the intermediate range of visions from minus 0.5 to minus 1.0 diopter range. Also, binocular situation, you can see a very similar results. The intensity have a better intermediate range of the defocus curve compared to panoptics. This is 3 months post-op monocular defocus curve. This is quite interesting. You can see the more widened the depth of field compared to post-op 1 month. Even if the intensity group have a better results in the minus 3 point and the minus 3.5 defocus range. Binocular situations are very similar. In binocular situation, the range, depth of field range are over 3 diopters. This is very consistent with the previous published papers. This is post-op 1 month post-op near visual acuity in the monocular situation. At 40 centimeters, 6 centimeters, the results were very similar. However, in 80 centimeters, the intensity have better results than the panoptics group. Also, these results are very consistent with the previous mentioned the defocus curve range both group. In defocus curve, the intensity group have a better results in the minus 0.5 to minus 1.0 diopter range. And at near vision, also in 80 centimeters, the better results were revealed in the intensity group. Binocular situations, you can see a very similar results in there. And also mesopic conditions, the intensity group have a better results in the 80 centimeters defocus curve. The 3 months results are very similar. This is photic phenomenon of both group by patients reported the photic phenomena by using the Zeiss glare halo simulator. In glare, the intensity and the size were very similar in both groups, and also halo, the size and the intensity were very similar. So the results are like this. The patients reported the photic phenomenon is very comparable in both groups. So I level with this slide the conclusion. The intensity pentafocal IOL is the most advanced latest full range of vision IOL so far. And this is the first pentafocal IOLs using GS algorithms. Also use optimal light distribution with using DLU. So it can make the more convenient and the more smooth range of field. And in my study, clinical outcomes of intensity are superior to other multifocal IOLs in visual acuity and visual quality. Yes, thank you.